Once upon a time, there was a dear little girl who was loved by everyone who looked at her, but mostly by her grandmother. And there was nothing that was given to the child. Once she gave her a little cape of velvet, which suited her so well that she would never wear anything else. So she was always called Little Red Riding Hood. One day her mother said to her,
"Come, Little Red Riding Hood, here's a piece of cake and a bottle of juice. Take them to your grandmother. She is ill and weak, and they will do her good. Set out before it gets hot, and do not run off the path, or you will break the bottle, and poor grandmother won't get anything to eat or drink. And when you enter the room, don't forget to say good morning. And don't peek into every single corner before you do it. I will take great care,"
said Little Red Riding Hood to her mother and gave her a hand on it.
The grandmother lived a few kilometers from the village, and just as Little Red Riding Hood entered the wood, a wolf met her. Little Red Riding Hood did not know what a wicked creature he was, and was not at all afraid of him.
"Good day, Little Red Riding Hood," said the wolf.
"Thank you, kindly wolf,"
said Little Red Riding Hood in her sweetest voice. "Where are you going so early, Little Red Riding Hood?"
"I'm going to my grandmother's," said Little Red Riding Hood with a smile in her voice.
"And what have you got in your pocket?"
"Cake and juice. Yesterday was baking day, so poor old grandmother needs something good to make her stronger,"
explained Little Red Riding Hood politely. "Where does your grandmother live, Little Red Riding Hood?"
"A few kilometers into the woods. Her house stands under 3 large oak trees, and the nut trees are just below. You certainly must know it,"
the wolf thought to himself. "What a tender young creature! What a nice plump mouthful! She'll be better to eat than the old woman. I must act craftily so as to catch birds."
So he walked for a short time by the side of Little Red Riding Hood. Then he said,
"See, Little Red Riding Hood, how pretty the flowers are about here. Why do you not look around? I believe too that you do not hear how sweetly the little birds are singing. You walk along if you are going to school while everything else out here is merry." Little Red Riding Hood raised her eyes, and when she saw the sunbeams dancing here and there through the trees and pretty flowers growing everywhere, she thought,
"Suppose I take grandmother fresh daisies? It would please her too. It's so early in the day, I shall still get there in time."
And so she ran from the path into the wood to look for flowers, and whenever she picked one up, she fancied that she saw a still pretty one further on, and ran after it, and so she got deeper and deeper into the wood. Meanwhile, the wolf ran straight to the grandmother's house and knocked at the door.
"Who was that?"
Little Riding Hood, open the door!
"I'm sure you can get off."
The wolf lifted the latch, the door sprang open, and without saying a word, he went straight to the grandmother's bed, and then he gobbled her up like a juicy cheeseburger. Then he put on her clothes and dressed himself up in her hat and laid himself in bed and closed the curtains.
Little Red Riding Hood, however, had been running about picking flowers, and when she had gathered so many that she could carry no more, she remembered her grandmother and set out on the way to her. She was surprised to find the cottage door standing open, and she went inside. "Good morning."
She received no answer, so she went to the bed and opened the curtains. There lay her grandmother with her hat pulled far over her face, looking very strange.
"Oh, but grandmother,"
She said,
"what terrible big ears you have."
"The better to hear you with, my child,"
replied the wolf. "Oh, but grandmother, what big eyes you have."
Little Red Riding Hood said.
"The better to see you with, my dear." "Oh, but grandmother, what terrible big hands you have."
"The better to hug you, my dear."
"Oh, but grandmother, what terrible big teeth you have."
"The better to eat you with." Then the wolf jumped out of bed and swallowed up Little Red Riding Hood in one big gulp. When the wolf had filled his belly, he laid down again in the bed
and fell asleep and began to snore very loud. A huntsman was just passing the house and thought to himself,
The old woman's door is open. I'll go see if she is okay.
So he went into the room, and when he came to the bed, he saw that the wolf was laying in it. The wolf had a huge belly.
What are you doing here?
said the huntsman.
I have been looking for you.
The huntsman realized that the wolf might have eaten the grandmother and that she might still be safe. So he took a pair of scissors and began to cut open the stomach of the sleeping wolf. When he had made 2 snips, he heard Little Red Riding Hood screaming, and then he made 2 snips more, and the little girl sprang out crying.
How gross it was inside the wolf! And after that, the grandmother came out alive also. Little Red Riding Hood, however, quickly fetched great stones which they filled the wolf's belly. And when he awoke, he wanted to run away, but the stones were so heavy that he collapsed at once and fell dead.
Then all 3 were delighted. The huntsman went home, the grandmother and Little Red sat down and ate cake and drank juice.